All right, let's see if we're on socials. Trying again here, guys. Let's see here.
You're on Twitter.
Yep, yep. I just saw the Twitter notification. So if we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. So there we go. All right, guys. Welcome back to episode 155 of Titos&Chicken, your unofficial South Carolina Gamecocks podcast, coming at you with a low country state of mind. I got Mr. Famously Garnet here with me this morning on this lovely Sunday morning. How you doing, man?
It is a nice, crispy Sunday morning outside. Nice and
Yep.
chilly last night. I got it to the low 30s. And hey, man, what better way to warm yourself up, though, with a win over your in state rival? Your
Yes.
second time doing that in Clemson, right? Since Shane Beamer has been
Hmm.
coach of South Carolina. It's just it's a great feeling, man. It's a
Yep.
great feeling. I feel like justice was served yesterday. And Evan, you were there, man. So talk about the experience being up there in Death
Yeah.
Valley for it, man.
Oh man. Guys, it was amazing. It was amazing. First, I drove to Greenville Friday, stayed in Greenville Friday night. Woke up at about 4:30 Sunday, or excuse me, Saturday morning. I couldn't sleep, guys. I was so amped up for the game. It was ridiculous. Drove over 20 minutes to Clemson, 25 minutes, something like that. And it's the landscape there is so different from Columbia, Zach. The
It is.
tailgating scene, it's so spaced out. Like it really is.
Mm-hmm.
My tailgate was actually 30 minutes from the stadium, a 30-minute walk. I'm used to being in the
Yeah.
fairgrounds where I can just hop and skip and I'm in Williams Bryce.
Yeah.
That definitely wasn't the case there. And it was so hilly. I was just like, shit. I mean, do you guys have what's the transportation systems? I'm sure they have them. I just couldn't find one to take me. So, but anyways, I got the tailgate a little bit. I did a little solo tailgate, which I was completely fine with. I was meeting a buddy up there. He was from the Charlotte area, and he met me in Clemson, so we saw each other in the stadium. But getting into the stadium, man, I was nervous. I was very nervous. I was just like, man, what are we gonna get from this team today? But I definitely can tell you what Lenore's did yesterday, guys. I 1000% did not expect that. Offensively, he put on a clinic. I mean, it's not even a question. It was the Lenore Sellers show yesterday. I mean, Zach, would you agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, Lenore's took over, man. He absolutely took over. I mean, it's Lenore's world, man. We're all living in it. Honestly, the way we've been
Yeah.
playing, it's just absolutely insane. And Lenore's has been that reason why. Right, we saw this team really develop after that Alabama game. Really, really see what was going on. But we saw Lenore's. We saw the game slow down, and we've seen it
Yeah.
since. You won 6 games back to rattled off 6 games in a row,
Hmm.
and on top of that, there's a crazy stat floating out right there, and I mean, obviously, it needs to be, it's a crazy stat floated out by Pro Football Focus, right? But the stat is that Lenore Sellers had 18 missed Lenore broke 18 tackles yesterday, basically against
I
Clemson.
wanted to figure out
18.
that number. I'm glad you brought that up in the podcast. So it's 18.
Yeah,
Wow. Excuse me.
yeah, yeah.
Um, no, it was
Bananas, yeah.
it was insane. It was truly insane watching that. And I was talking to a friend about this last night on the way home. His running style.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a beeline type of guy. His run yesterday, Zach, to me, he was kind of just swerving and cutting and just easing his way to first downs or touchdowns. It was a thing of beauty to watch that yesterday. It truly was.
It
Um,
was.
Again, I mean, his stat line here, guys, 13 for 24. He only had 164 passing yards, but the guy had 166 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. Um, we can talk about the wideouts here a little bit, Zach. I mean, we outside of that Nick Harbor nice catch he had there. I mean, Jarrett Brown had a catch, I believe, too. But outside of those two catches, I mean, I can't recall anything else from the receivers.
No, Clemson's secondary did really well with
Yeah,
their game plan in general on both sides of the ball. Let's call it how
they
it is. I
did.
mean, really
They
on both
did.
sides of the ball. With the offense though, with South Carolina, I mean, the one thing I would say if Nick Harbor, I mean, this is obviously great coverage. I believe it was by Terrell though as well. But if that coverage wasn't on Nick Harbor the way it was, and somehow Nick was able to get that ball, and I do think he also saw Green after he had the ball somewhat in possession before he dropped it.
Yeah.
I think that'd have been an easy 6. I think Harbor was seeing 6 on that play, but
Well, there was no one in the middle of the field either. So yeah, I
exactly,
don't blame him.
exactly. So other than that, no. I mean, Harbor made some great catches yesterday. Delvon Campbell, look, man, we've seen this the rule of the touchdown change over the years, right? And I still feel like Delvon Campbell, that catch in the end zone, your knee was down, and I know the ground can't cause it, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I mean, Delvon believes it was a catch. I believe it was a catch, but whatever. I mean, we move on. We move on, of course, and it was a great play by Delvon on that one. But yeah, I mean, Clemson's game plan was phenomenal. Outside of containing Lenore Sellers, and they did have spies in this game, but Lenore's got around it.
He got around
As you talked about his running style, he just got around him. It's not the typical running from a quarterback,
No, not to run that much. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Going back to Campbell, that ball in the end zone. Were you upset that Beamer didn't try to challenge that call?
I wasn't really upset about that. I was kind of more annoyed that the fact of the matter didn't come from upstairs because, granted, it was SEC officials that called the game, right? But they were ACC officials that ran the video. So,
yeah,
I was kind of disappointed there. Not really surprised, of course. Thing for you, Evan, I was not obviously there. I was at home watching the game with my folks, my parents, and the Lenore Sellers. There was a delayed game call. And there was multiple people that were at this game, in Death Valley yesterday that said, including JP Hove over at Barstool. And he said that the play clock was not showing on the opposite side of the field where Little Millers was looking. Did you see that at all? Did you
So yeah, I did see that. That whole situation was just botched. I mean, confusing to me. We were thinking that. So my thing was when that was going on is why didn't Shane Beamer call a timeout?
Right.
But again, the play clock wasn't showing on the board. So I mean, how would he know how much time was left? To call that play because I saw Lenore's from the stands. I was in the upper deck. I was up there, guys. You can see Lenore's pointing at the board, shaking his head, just like, how the hell am I supposed to know how much time's left? I mean, that whole situation. We were saying Shane should have called a timeout, but again, we then realized there was no play clock, so he had no idea how much time was on the clock. So yeah, that sucked. But
classic Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson. So we talked about the wideouts a little bit. Really not a big factor in the game. Running backs here. Sanders, 18 carries for 60 yards. Oscar, 6 carries for 41 yards. Sanders was banged up that game, man. He ran out the field a couple of times, I don't know if they were knee injuries. I don't know what. One was a leg injury because he was hobbling off the field at one point. But I thought Clemson. The running backs did get some yards. 60 yards, 41 yards. 100 yards between the two.
Sure.
But I still think Clemson did a decent job containing those guys. So, like you said earlier, Clemson all around on both sides of the ball, they definitely schemed well for our offense and against our defense. I felt like they called a great game, but we have Lenore Sellers,
Yeah.
And that separates.
Yeah. And that also you can look at the defensive side of the ball, right? For South Carolina and the scheme that they put together, man, the game plan was to take the edges out of the game, and they absolutely did that, man. I'm not to say that The pressure wasn't there because, I mean, Dylan Stewart, Kyle Kennard, they got pressure on them, but ultimately weren't able to sack Cade from that part of the ball. But at the same time, that opens up for your middle, right? Your inside guys, and I mean, Bam Martin Scott, they rushed him a few times. Clayton White had no problem dialing up blitzes yesterday. That's for damn sure. He had no problem dialing those up. So,
I think who was the guy that got the sack?
Bam Martin Scott.
Yeah, it was Bam. Okay, yeah, it was Bam Martin. Yeah, Zach. I mean, of course, moving the defense, you would think Stewart and Kennard were going to cause hell that game.
Sure.
But they did bring pressure, but they weren't able to do the final job, that as in get to the quarterback. And I truly think that is a strength of our team. That's a heartbeat of our team, are those two guys. I mean, yeah, Lenore's, don't get me wrong, but on defense, those ends, man, they have caused hell all season. And for them not to even really show up on the stat sheet, I was just like, wow. I mean, I never would have guessed that. But I'll tell you, two people who did have a decent game were those two interior linemen, Tonka and Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they held their own in the trenches there. I truly do think they did very well. We needed someone on that D line. I mean, those guys on the end, I can't even tell you how many times I think Stewart was held.
Oh, sure.
I'm sure you saw it on TV too.
Yeah.
But he's been getting held all season. He's used to this by now, unfortunately.
Yeah, he is, man. It's something that happens every game, at least 10 times a game at this point. I mean, if we were calling a holding every time Dylan Stewart got held, I mean, good God, I mean, hundreds of yards and penalty yards for every team that we faced. I swear. I mean, look, man, the defense at the end of the day, they did exactly what they needed to do: is hold Clemson to 14 points, get the W. Look. With Dabo Sweeney, and there's other coaches too that have this mentality, but Dabo Sweeney, mainly him, on that transfer portal, right? You brought a guy in like Demetrius Knight in the offseason, and look what Demetrius did yesterday, man. Look what Demetrius did.
I had to show him love this morning, Zach. I had to send out.
Oh, you have to.
I had to send out a Demetrius Knight appreciation tweet. That guy went from being the unsung hero on defense to like, oh shit, this guy's good. We need to talk a little bit more about this guy. Amazing pick up there from Charlotte, like you mentioned. The guy literally won the game there for us.
Yeah, he did. He did. And there's a quote I'm actually looking for right now as we talk about Demetrius Knight. Actually, it's a question that the who is it? Lulu Kesson, that covers South Carolina up in Greenville.
Yeah.
Your question, Demetrius Knight, was a month ago you said you want to breathe life and hope into the locker room. What has allowed you to become a leader? What about these players, this program, the defense has allowed you as a transfer to make such an impact on and off the field? His answer was just the belief in me. It's a lot for a new guy to come in and make a mark, but I didn't try to come in and try to hold rah-rah speech. I'm a senior. I'm above blah, blah, blah. None of that. I take what I can from these guys, learn what I can, learn how to approach all guys off the field. If you have a great relationship off the field, you have a great relationship on the field and know how to communicate. If there are guys in the back you don't speak to, how can you talk to those guys in the game? Try to give them feedback, and they say, you don't talk to me in the locker room, so how can I receive feedback? It's about creating a relationship. We talk about being the closest. It's the most connected group in the country, and that was on display. We didn't flinch. Offense did what they did. It's okay. We got your back. We're going to come out there and put the ball down. And Lenoris goes and does exactly what he did. It's about coming together, playing as one, truly loving each other, and that's what this program is built on, love. That's what was on display today. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's from D Knight after that game. And I seeing D Knight last night at the ops building, parading with a trophy around showing the fans the trophy and his smile and everything else. I mean, you could tell. I mean, I'm sure that Demetrius Knight didn't know enough about the rivalry coming in for South Carolina Clemson, but he learned yesterday, as many others did as well, others did. So, just great stuff, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously. And I wanted to ask you about that. The players arriving to the stadium last night. How did that go at the ops building?
No, it was great, man.
It was turnout.
Yeah. Oh man, fantastic turnout. Bunch of cars out there. Bunch of cars. I was kind of disappointed this year. They actually barricaded one side off, so when you came in, there was only one way in for one, straight through Gamecock Park off Bluff Road. You couldn't go down
Yeah.
National Guards Road down there. So you had to come in that way, and it was barricaded to one side, so fans weren't able to be on both sides. Which
Oh wow.
back in 2022 they were, so there was able to be just for me on my end, I get content, right? That's what I'm out here to do.
Mm-hmm.
The media, the same thing. My guy Chaz over at ABC wasn't able to get the content that he wanted because he was, like I said, put on one side. Wasn't
Mm-hmm.
allowed to go on the other side. WIS, the same thing. I mean, the media
Wow.
in general are also just where they weren't allowed to go over the barricade. They had to stick on this side, which was crazy in my
Where
mind.
all
Like,
the
man,
fans were.
right. I'm like, you give
How
you give the media access that fans normally don't get, and yet you put them only on one. I thought that was wild. But other than that, it was great. Shane came out, just high fiving the fans and everything. Being Shane Beamer's typical self. Demetrius Knight came out with the trophy, walked around with it. Staff came out, some players came out, and I mean, look, man, those players were tired. I mean, they've been up since 6 a.m., 5 a.m. that
Yeah.
morning. So I can't be mad at them that they didn't want to hang around too long with the fans. Some guys did hang around. DQ Smith, Case and
Yeah.
Henry, those two did come out and
Taking it
have
all
talks
in.
with the youth. Yeah, taking it all in, man.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it was a great stuff, man. Juwan Howell also came out. So the transfer South Carolina State running back. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of guys did come back out and say hey to the fans. And like I said, the ones that didn't, I said I don't blame them at
You
all,
don't
man.
blame
It
them.
was a
Yeah.
long day, long day, but it was great. It was great. It just shows that it was 35 degrees out last night or whatever,
Oh, it
34,
was
whatever it was.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah, it was chilly, man. And the fans, they came out in droves, man, and supported
That's
what they
so
needed to
awesome.
do. So
Yeah.
it's just when you see that from this fan base, it's just like, man, like
It's a passionate group. We
I
are a
bet
very passionate group, man.
it makes
That's
you proud to be a Gamecock, man.
yeah, not even a question. It's just, and I'm going back to the game here a little bit. It sitting in that stadium, man, I just don't know what was going, like the flow of the game to me. It literally felt like Clemson was up like 3 touchdowns against
Sure.
us that
Yeah.
whole game. And they were only up 7-14. I was just like, it feels like this is not, it feels like this is going to be a blowout. But I mean, we stayed in the game. Defense, shocking to me. Like they did, it didn't look like they did their thing, but they did their thing. So hold Clemson to 14 points.
I did.
I mean, it was.
I
I
did.
still sit here and I get speechless, literally. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for those guys. So much was riding on that game for us. Like it really was. Now,
Mhm.
going into bowl and playoff chances, Zach, let's start with playoff chances first. Now, I think the last thing I saw was ESPN. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. I believe it's in the 20s. I want to just say 26, just to throw it out there. 26% chance of us making the playoffs. Now, I feel like still we need some things to happen. We
Sure.
need some help. But what are your thoughts, excuse me, on us getting to the playoffs? And do you see it actually happening?
Look, I've been going back and forth with this
Yeah.
really since this whole thing started, right? Since the whole playoff chances really came about. And it's not to where this committee has been and what they've looked at, it's very concerning as a Carolina fan if you want to get to the playoffs, right? If you expect the
Mhm.
playoffs.
Yeah.
And this committee really focuses more on this head-to-head thing than I would like for them to do.
Yeah.
But if they truly break it down, right? South Carolina, your only losses were at the time were against ranked opponents. Not just
Yeah.
ranked opponents, but top 10, top 15 opponents.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ole Miss lost on an unranked opponent, Kentucky, right?
Mhm.
And Florida.
Florida
Alabama.
wasn't ranked that time either. Yeah.
Yeah, Alabama, I don't think Vanderbilt was ranked at the time. So you lost to Vanderbilt when they were unranked, and you
Yeah.
also lost to, you didn't just lose, you got blown out by Oklahoma.
Yeah. I never saw that coming. I'm not even gonna lie, I never saw that coming. But
No, and most didn't.
yeah,
And most didn't. So it's it's not a matter of this team deserves the playoffs. They absolutely do, and that's coming from a non-biased perspective as possible because this team absolutely does. If you look at the analytics, you look at the statistics, you put all of this together, South Carolina should be in the playoffs.
yeah.
They should be. They've beat all these ranked opponents. They have their losses, like I said, were against they didn't lose to a non-ranked team. Many of these other teams did.
They
Ohio
did.
State
Yeah.
yesterday lost to Michigan, right? Miami, you lost to Syracuse, right? Clemson,
Unranked,
you've
yeah.
got multiple unranked losses.
And going to Clemson real quick, because this honestly pisses me off. So I got home last night, I want to say around 9:15, something like that.
Right.
And that game was over. And or excuse me, the game I'm talking about here is Miami and Syracuse. That game was over. So I'm sitting here like, oh, okay, Miami's out, blah, blah, blah. And then I heard on the radio that it said Clemson's going to the ACC championship. And I was like, wait, what? And because of Miami losing,
Yep.
that held Clemson in to play SMU. So this is
Mhm.
what really pissed me off. That if Clemson if Clemson wins next Saturday in Charlotte, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But my thing is, we beat y'all yesterday to take you out of that chance to go to the playoffs. It's just like, guys, I'm so angry about that. I really am truly angry about that. It's like they weasel their way in somehow, but they still got to beat SMU, and SMU is not a slouch. I haven't seen them play. I mean, have you? You know anything?
Yeah. So I've watched SMU play,
Okay.
and it comes down to the fact they haven't beat the best, but I mean, they have beat some ranked teams. Let's put it out there. They have beat some ranked
More than
opponents,
Clemson.
but
Clemson hasn't beaten one
sure,
ranked team this season.
right. I think they beat Louisville. I think that was ranked at the time, but
Clemson?
no.
Okay.
SMU.
Okay. Yeah.
No, SMU. So the thing about SMU, I think that they're dangerous. How dangerous are they? I'm not ready to say that. I can't say for certain that SMU is going to blow them out. Honestly.
And I mean, it's a home game
no.
for Clemson, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It
The old Charlotte game.
Yeah. No, Zach, it drives me crazy, man. It's like, I was coming into that stadium yesterday wanting to literally wreck everything we could for Clemson's season.
Mhm.
And here I get home and they're going to the ACC championship because of a damn fraudulent team in Miami. Now, here's the thing, a 10-2 Miami team. Do you see them out of the top 15 or excuse me, top 12?
I don't see them because of the logo on their jersey.
Okay. No, we're talking about brands here. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, do I think they should be out? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is, yeah. I think that loss to Syracuse told me everything I needed to know at this point about who you are and who you're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. So we're currently at what in the CFP? 15?
Yeah.
So where do you see us ending up on Tuesday? Do you see us jumping Ole Miss and Alabama? Or do you see some other sort of scenario there?
I wish
it's tough. It's tough, man.
Yeah. Here's what it comes down to. South Carolina beat a 12th ranked Clemson.
Yeah.
Compared to an Ole Miss beat a Mississippi State, which, by the way, the game was close at times, right?
Yeah, seriously.
And then Alabama, Auburn, right? Alabama beat a very bad Auburn team that is not bowl eligible. So both teams beat teams that are non-bowl eligible teams that are going to have losing seasons.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like you would jump them because just because of that alone. Okay. Forget the head-to-head crap and all that. Like I said, this was 7-8 games ago, guys. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why do we dwell on the past? We need to be looking at what's been going on in the present and then going toward the future. And this is a team. I mean, I feel like the college football world wants to see Lenore Sellers in the playoffs. compared to a
And
Jackson Dart or a Jalen Milroe. I think they're tired. I mean, look, the nation's tired of Alabama in general. Let's go ahead and say that.
yeah, I agree. I totally
So,
agree. And that's my thing. And Zach, you're hearing this everywhere. ESPN analysts, SEC network analysts, they are saying, I'm just being real. Like, they are literally saying South Carolina is a scary team to play right now. You do not want to play them.
Yeah.
Multiple people are saying this. So I agree. I feel like they're gonna honor the head-to-head, which is bullshit, because we are a totally different team than we were now. Or excuse me, we're a totally different team from 7-8 games ago, like you mentioned. Put the teams in that are hot, that are deserving, that are playing. We're on a 6-game winning streak right now, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. I'll be highly upset Tuesday night if we're outside of the top 12. I personally think us and Clemson should flip-flop.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And that would be good. That would be good. It's just a lazy narrative when people just bring up, oh, South Carolina's a 3-loss team.
Okay.
I mean, it's the laziest narrative.
Have you watched us play? And that's what I would tell them. Like, literally, that's what they just look at the two numbers and they're like, oh, they got 3 losses. They don't deserve to be in.
To me, the committee needs to think of a mindset. It's not what have you done, but what have you done for me lately? And that is the mindset that needs to be the college football playoff committee. Is it going to be? Probably not. Probably not. It would surprise me. And this season, quite frankly, has surprised me. I thought the ceiling would have been 8 wins, honestly, but we hit 9.
I had us at 6. I had us at 6-6.
Yeah.
And that was my ceiling. That's the thing. That these guys have overachieved. They have surprised us. They have 1,000% surprised us, man. And like I said, I'm just so proud for these guys. I'm so happy for them. Let's just keep this up. Obviously, we're not playing next weekend. But let's just see where we end up. Now, this goes to my next little segment here. Bowl projections. Now, do you see the Citrus being the number 1 destination for the Gamecocks after Clemson win yesterday?
More than likely, yeah. Yeah, more than likely after the win over Clemson, I think the Citrus Bowl is probably where South Carolina is expected to land at this point. And I haven't looked at bowl projections this morning. If new ones are out, I haven't paid too much attention, honestly, to it since the whole. Since the whole college football playoff really started going for South Carolina. If I'm being real with you, it's one of those things. But we'll pull up. We are. But we'll pull up a CBS Sports one real quick for fun, right? And now, let's see.
I say Citrus or Gator at this point.
Yeah,
I don't see us being outside of Florida. I just don't. We're not gonna take a bid at the Music City Bowl in Nashville. We're better than that,
right?
So I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious to see what you're able to dig up here.
Yeah. I'm trying to find one.
I am definitely wanting to know that for sure. See what the updates are.
Yeah, CBS actually doesn't look like they have one at this second. But one of them has us, that Citrus Bowl against Illinois on December 31st.
Is Illinois a top 25 team? I feel like they are. They are. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, they are. It could be kind of like that matchup we had when South Carolina was ranked higher than Wisconsin when we played them. In the whichever bowl that was down in Florida.
I know what bowl you're talking about.
Yeah, mine's blanking, man. Whichever one that was, of course.
Was that the one where Connor Shaw went off? Or was that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think
I don't know how I still remember that, but yeah, I feel like that's the one you're talking about there. So
yeah, it's but it's the fun about predictions, right? With these things. I think there's actually another one. Syracuse versus South Carolina in the Gator Bowl, January 2nd.
Let's talk about that one for a second. I don't know if that's a good matchup for us. What do you think?
I mean, I think we would handle business, but Syracuse, why are we playing Syracuse? I don't feel like we're in the same conversation with them, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
If
they're
if,
nine
if
and
we're being
three. I
real,
think they are because you remember
that's true.
they see the numbers and they're like, oh, they're 9 and 3. Let's pair them together. You know,
That's true.
I don't want to go against Kyle McCord. I mean, I'll play anyone in the country, but not Kyle McCord. That guy's on fire right now, man. He
Oh, Kyle
is.
McCord is a great quarterback, man.
He is. He is. I
He's a
mean,
great
outside
quarterback.
of him, I don't see that team being, I would say they're average, but he
Yeah,
has put them on the map. That's not even a question, you know?
yeah, he did. Yeah, another one there is for ESPN. It's what are the guys? Bonagara or whatever his name is has
Yeah.
Minnesota versus South Carolina, the Music City Bowl in Nashville.
Oh, so the Music City Bowl is still up there. Wow.
Apparently,
Yeah. No, we need to be in Florida. I just don't see us being outside of Florida.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
if we
Uh,
if we don't get the Citrus, I mean the Gator Bowl, I would go to Gator Bowl. I take that bid.
Yeah, I mean Jacksonville's a cool spot.
It
It's
is.
unfortunate what happened in South Carolina last time they were there, but
Oh,
look,
don't remind me.
yeah, but I think it'd be a different outcome. You play Illinois. I think the thing about it's just that if this is it, if we're not going to the playoffs, obviously, I believe we all saw Kyle Kennard, possibly T.J. Sanders, Tonka Hemingway, maybe a Nick Minwari, their last snap in a Gamecock uniform. Guys like that, Demetrius Knight, maybe even Debo. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's kind of sombering, right? It's kind of sombering, but it is what it is. I mean,
I know,
Kyle
man.
Kennard. Kyle Kennard's not going to break the Jadeveon Clowney record, but he is going to be second in history. And I mean,
Yeah,
that's special. That is still special. That is nothing to take away what he did
no,
in
God,
his
no.
season here. So
Guy was true. The guy has true. I mean, the season's not well. The regular season's over, but we're not done
yeah,
playing football. The guy's been truly phenomenal for us.
right.
What a pickup from Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about these kids from these schools, man. Georgia Tech, Charlotte. Like, I mean, wow. I mean, thank you, transfer portal. I mean, that's all we can say to that, And
Yeah,
these
I mean,
coaches who are able to recruit these guys.
yeah, and I mean they did a hell of a job, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I know Georgia Tech probably feels some type of way, man. Brent Key about South Carolina, but
Yeah,
hey, it is what it is, man. I mean, if you
it
can't
is
keep
what it is.
guys, from entering the portal and not wanting to better themselves, I mean,
Yeah,
what are you gonna what are you gonna do, man?
yeah.
What are
Kyle
you gonna
Kennard
do?
has 1000% helped his draft stock with being with South Carolina, Zach.
Oh yeah.
He really has, man.
Oh yeah. Kyle Kennard, Demetrius Knight, DeAndre Jules. I mean, guys
Yeah.
like that. Rocket coming to South Carolina helped himself out as well. I mean,
Mhm.
God, Josh Simon. Josh Simon's going to be an NFL tight end. It's
Yeah,
going to happen,
yeah.
So the message is you come to South Carolina for the portal. Besides some people that decide, hey, South Carolina didn't work. They don't have a quarterback. Let me go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And well,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
you know.
We already know who you're talking about there, buddy.
Yeah, you went from a possible day 2-ish pick, maybe day one, depending on what kind of season you had, to fighting for for 5th or 6th round pick,
Yeah.
maybe at that
I
right
was
now.
gonna say fourth or fifth,
I
yeah.
I don't know where they got. I don't know where they have them right now, but I can't imagine that it's too pretty. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree, man. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this impromptu episode here of Tito's and Chicken. We just want we're riding a high right now, this is it. Yesterday was a good day. Today is a good day. Now we just sit and wait and see what the CFP committee, excuse me, decides to put us. You know, I hate we're not playing next weekend, but we're going to be playing soon. We will be playing soon. So we'll keep you updated with everything. I'm sure we'll probably come out with an episode this upcoming week. Lindsay should be with us. I apologize for her not being here. She celebrated a little too hard last night. It's okay. I don't blame her. If I didn't have to drive 4.5 hours, I would have done the same thing. So, but guys, thank you for listening.